Dear friends, I'm very happy to be with you once more. I'm Dr. Rodrigo Rodriguez, Medical Director of BioCare Hospital. And I love to take this opportunity to talk and have a conversation with you wherever you happen to be in this moment. You might be at home, driving your car, at work, and even on vacation. I thank you for following me. I thank you for listening to these very important messages. And they're very important because, number one, they want to help you. They want to make sure that you take good care of your health. That's number one. Number two, because there's no money involved. I don't have any interest other than seeing a healthier world. I became a doctor a little bit more than 50 years ago, and the medical landscape was very different than what it is today. We used to have a lot of infectious diseases, and actually in my country a lot of children died because of infectious diseases. Mothers died at delivery because of infectious diseases, and tuberculosis and many of those things were rampant. And we have been able to conquer all of that. It's very rare, and it has to have very special medical conditions for someone to lose their lives just because they're delivering a baby. And babies that are born have almost an almost written guarantee that they're going to be growing up and healthy and doing well. So that was the landscape there. Today, I'm very worried because even though many diseases tend to go down, and even cancer, in people my age, cancer frequency is dropping because we started to do a lot of good things that were helping people. But on the other hand, we started to do a lot of wrong things that were working against us. And those conditions are affecting particularly the younger generation. So I'll give you an example, like colorectal cancer. Even though frequency is going down in people above 50, it's going up in people in their 30s or 40s. And there's nothing worse than have a 30-year-old that comes to your doctor's office and you do a cancer diagnosis. It's really devastating. If you're in your 30s, if you are in your 40s, disease is not in your radar screen. You're looking forward retirement, you're looking forward traveling, you're looking forward to make a family, to get your house, etc. You're not thinking of going to a hospital because you have cancer. And that's what we're seeing today. We're seeing younger and younger people affected by this dreadful disease, and that's exactly what I like to address. Because we have made a lot of changes, let's face it. You don't have to talk to your grandmother or anything like that. All you have to do is talk to your mother, or even to yourself if you're my age, to see how changed the whole scope of lifestyle has developed in this last 50 years. We're looking at a lot of changes in lifestyle, in what we eat, in how we eat, where our food comes from, very important, where our food comes from, etc. So we have to retake all that, to retake our attention to all those factors, because they might be hurting us and they might be hurting the following generation. Of the people that we love the most, which are our children and grandchildren, we could put them in jeopardy just because we don't pay attention to their lifestyles. And if you remember, your grandmother or mother were always giving you advice. Don't do this is not good for you, or the contrary, this is very good for you, take your veggies, etc. We don't do that anymore. I don't see any young mother addressing children in those terms. Don't do this because it is not good for you. And even though it doesn't sound like very original, it's still just as important as it was then. I'm going to refer now to a form of cancer that disguises a lot the way we function. It is very deceiving. And that's why it's so important to talk about it. Because like in any other disease, no matter if it's cancer or not, the earlier the diagnosis, the better off you're going to be. The less money you're going to spend, the less suffering you're going to have, and the most important part, the more successful you can be with whatever therapy you take. So, this cancer that I'm talking about is ovarian cancer. You know, the ovaries are deep in the pelvic cavity, way down in the abdomen, way down in the pelvic bone cavity, and close to other organs, and the colon, the bladder, the uterus, of course. So whenever they have a problem, they can mimic a symptom of a different organ. And that has been one of the big problems with ovarian cancer. Number one, when an ovarian cancer starts to develop, it's practically silent. You don't feel anything. But as it progresses, it is far from being silent. It starts to give you a lot of warnings, a lot of, hey, I am here, I'm developing, I'm doing this, I'm doing the other. But we don't pay attention. And we don't pay attention, you know why? Because being close to other organs, you might have just discomfort, abdominal pain, pelvic pain, probably some problems with urination, probably some problems with cramps and pains, because it becomes very, very talkative. It is giving us a lot of information. It's telling us in many ways that the cancer is in your ovaries. But the big problem has always been that we disregard the symptoms. Why? Because every time we have an abdominal discomfort, the first thing we think of is probably something I ate. Oh, I shouldn't have eaten that. Or this food might not be good, and I've got some problem with it. I might have an infection. Or I have been very stressful, and this could be a colitis. I mean, yeah, I've been crampy and painful, and I've been feeling a little bit bloated, etc. So, what can we do? But the worst thing you can do is to take a nonchalant attitude. Just being nonchalant is going to take you nowhere. It's going to complicate things. Here, the story is, every symptom you have, try to think of what you want to rule out. If you have an abdominal pain, if you have an abdominal problem, if you have too many gases, if you have this or the other, try to rule out the very serious diseases first. Is this colon cancer? Is this ovarian cancer? This is bladder cancer. And for that, you go to your doctor, you say, you know, I have been having these symptoms. And you have to be convincing. You want to get answers. And I have to insist on that, because I have seen people with ovarian cancer that actually went to the doctor. And they went to the doctor because they had all these symptoms. And the doctor said, oh, it's probably same attitude. It's probably a colitis. It's probably a bladder infection. It's probably this. Let's take this therapy and see how you feel. I have a doctor, a lady doctor, very good friend of mine, that she always says, first, make sure it's not cancer. Then we sit and talk any other possibility. So if you have any of these symptoms, just tell your doctor, make sure it is not cancer. Make sure you're ruling out cancer. Because I tell you, I have seen people that went to the doctor and were given treatment to see how you're doing, only to find out a month, 2 months later that it was an ovarian, a rectal, or a bladder cancer. You don't want to do that. I'm not saying to be alarmed, but I'm saying to be aware. Feel the difference? You don't have to panic. I'm not telling you you have cancer. I want to tell you that you have to be aware that that is one possibility. And more times than not, it's going to be benign. It's going to be a simple problem. But you're going to feel a lot better. You're going to be able to go on with your life. And you know, this discomfort is due to this or the other, but you already ruled out the big C word. You know it is not cancer. What a sigh of relief. That's going to make you feel a lot better, function better, plan better, and decide what is your next step. Once again, be aware. You don't have to be alarmed. You don't have to panic. You don't have to think, oh, this is cancer. All you want to do is, I know these symptoms might have a serious origin. I want to make sure that's not what we're talking about. So when you go to the doctor, tell your doctor, doctor, I have all these discomforts. Tell me what we can do. Do we need an ultrasound scan? Most of the normal tests are going to be very simple, like an ultrasound scan. You can also detect it in a blood test. He can take your blood and check for some tumor markers for ovarian cancer. So the beginning is fairly easy. He can tell you, no, I don't see any signs of, or I have literally ruled out this is a cancer. Now what? Well, now it's very simple. Well, let's see if it is colitis. Let's see if it's an infection in the bladder. Let's see if there's something you ate. You see, and then so if you have any simple, very simple symptom in your abdomen that it goes on and on for a week, 2 weeks, not only that it continues to be there, but it begins to increase and becomes more and more of a discomfort, more and more bothersome, go to the doctor and make sure you know what it really is. That could save your life. Stay with me. Dear friends, you are with Dr. Rodrigo Rodriguez, Medical Director of BioCare Hospital. And every so often, I like to have any of these podcasts to talk about important subjects that I think are very, very important, and that we have to take them very seriously, because when we're born, nobody tells us what to do with our body, how to take care of our body. You go to a nursery shop and you buy a beautiful plant, and now they have these cards, stick to it, that says, well, this is this plant, it likes this much of sun, you have to control watering because of this or that, make sure that it has a little bit of shade, blah, blah, blah. In other words, you get instructions in how to take care of your plant. And the same happens with our pets. And what about our cars? They have books this thick that if you read them all, I don't know anybody that has read the whole thing from cover to cover, but you can go to every single detail of how the car functions and how to maintain it. And I think it's smart. It's smart because you get a gadget, you get an iPhone, you get something that you don't know exactly how it operates or how much it can do for you or how to fight if you have any misfunction, how you can control it, how to get service, etc. But what about ourselves? We used to have somebody at home that would give us a lot of simple instructions. You remember probably, you don't have to be my age, just if you're middle-aged, you probably remember somebody at home telling you, it's cold outside, get a sweater. Don't eat that because it's not good for you. Don't eat too much of the other thing because you're going to feel bad of your stomach. Don't go to the neighborhood because there's flu all around us and I don't want you to catch any infection, etc. Very simple advices that were part of that owner's manual in how to take care of you. You didn't know, but your mother, your grandmother, your grandfather, your father knew how to do it. Don't drive late at night, it might be dangerous. Don't go to that neighborhood. I don't like these friends you have now. They're not good news. I have done it many times. With the children I have had under my care, I always said, don't do this, don't do that, watch it. And you watch them. You see how they leave home, how they come back, etc. You look at their faces, at their eyes, everything. You make sure they're in good shape because there are many threats around there. So you take care of them, you advise them, you tell them why. Don't do this because of this. Okay, my mother was a lot simpler than that. You don't do that, period. No explanations whatsoever. But it sticks to you. You know you shouldn't do certain things and you know how to do other things. And you learn to be cautious and you learn to take care of yourself. So you can grow up and be useful to yourself first and foremost. Because if you're good to yourself, you're going to be able to achieve a lot of things for others. I always put the example of the oxygen mask that drops on an airplane, and they always tell you, put your mask on first before you help any other. Why? Because if you don't put your mask immediately, low oxygen is going to take you to unconsciousness. And once unconscious, you will not be able to help you, and you will not be able to help anybody. So even if you're with your son or with a child, put your mask first. Make sure you can function. Make sure you can help. Make sure you have everything to be helpful. But if you drop unconscious, that's it. So it would sound like I'm going to put the mask on my child first, on my wife or whoever I love, my mother. No, do it first, and then you can help everybody. And the same is with health. Make sure you can be strong and healthful. Because I have always said, being a little bit on the monetary side, okay, that it pays to be healthy. You are your main source of income. You're your main source of everything. So make sure you're in good shape and you're going to be able to help everybody else. So that's why these messages, I feel, are important. And today we're talking about ovarian cancer. And we're talking about one of the big problems with ovarian cancer. It is not a silent disease. This is not a disease that you're going to find out one day, as it happens with, let's say, high blood pressure, that you can go for years. And you don't know you had high blood pressure until you have a stroke or you have a heart attack. No, in here, you have a lot of symptoms, and you can have them for months. The problem is that they're so confusing because they mimic symptoms that come from other organs. And I have told you that the ovaries are very close from other organs that are very difficult about a little bit of inflammation around it. So they can deliver a lot of symptoms. That's the colon, that's the bladder. So you might have a lot of intestinal symptoms, urinary symptoms that you think are because of food, because of this, because of a bladder infection, etc., when you have an ovarian cancer. So let me give you some of them. Let's say you eat and you feel very full very rapidly. That's a warning. Just let's try to figure out how we function daily. And then all of a sudden, we can tell. I couldn't eat this. I used to eat this very easily. Today, I feel full. I feel in no time. That could be a problem. I have bloatedness. I didn't have this only a month ago. I remember when I went on my vacation, I was swimming and getting on my bathing suit without any problem. Now I'm bloated. I have cramps. I have urinary symptoms. I have to get up at night. I have certain urgency. When I have to go, I have to go. And all those things are going to be important to take attention to. Why I'm telling you that you have to pay attention to? Because if you have any of this type of symptom, very simple, bloatedness, you feel fast, you have cramps, you have any sort of symptom with the urinary tract, anything like that, well, I was telling you, do not be alarmed, but be aware. And when you go to the doctor, make sure that he tells you that he's going to rule out the important thing. So let's make sure you don't have a cancer somewhere, because it could be colorectal cancer, it could be bladder cancer, and can be ovarian cancer. So let's make sure that that is not happening. If you can rule all that out, then you're in good shape. You can go ahead and find out what is happening, what we have to do, and you're going to be on with your life knowing that you're strong and healthy, and probably have already corrected whatever produced those symptoms. So once again, if any abdominal symptom, it just stays there, it persists, or even worsens, it starts to get more acute, more difficult, more bothersome, time to go to the doctor. Because you can make a very simple ultrasound scan, you can make blood tests. The cancer will tell by releasing some markers that we can check in the blood in this time and age. So all you need is a blood test. The same way you check your blood type, it's the same type of bother you are going to have to check any of these markers. And when you do that, we can go on with our life. So, once again, one of the major components of healthy life is awareness, vigilance, and of course being proactive. And we have to talk about proactiveness. What do we have to do to make sure that this will not happen? What are we doing in the younger generation that's affecting the possibility of this deadly cancer? Ovarian cancer is the second cause of death in female cancers in America today. So we're not going to take it easy. We're not going to take it just without any importance. We're going to pay attention, and we're going to follow it up, because we know that the sooner we start a therapy, the better off altogether, financially, pain, etc., we're going to be. Our chances of success are going to go way up if we have an early diagnosis. So And that diagnosis, this is where I don't want you to make a mistake. Okay? That diagnosis, it's really within your reach. It's in your hands. Not even the doctors many times are as important as you are. You are the one that feels it. You are the one that knows that it's advancing. You already know that this is very stubborn, that doesn't go away, and this being 1 week, 2 weeks, you have to go to the doctor. Have to make sure you tell the doctor what you're thinking of. So he works along with you and helps you to rule this out. Don't go anywhere. We have so many more comments to make. Let's talk a little bit about risk factors in ovarian cancer. You are with Dr. Rodrigo Rodriguez, Medical Director of BioCare Hospital. And in this podcast, we've been talking about ovarian cancer. How it's a very important type of cancer since it's the second cause of death of female cancers in America today. So it's not going to be, it is today. So we have to be very serious about it. And we're saying also that the opportunity to detect it early, it's right there. But the complexity of the diagnosis is that it comes with a lot of symptoms, but they're so everyday that we don't pay attention. So that's what I want to bring you today. Awareness, so you can be vigilant. I have used the words, you have to be alert, not alarmed. So don't be panicked, but be aware. Be there. Make sure you know what's happening. Be alert of any changes in your body for that matter. That's very important. Now, why ovarian cancer is giving us so much problems? Well, let's begin with genetics. Ovarian cancer is one of the types of cancers that it's kind of connected to genetically. So, if you have anybody in your family, any female in your family, particularly if it's in direct line, like your mother, grandmother, or your sisters with ovarian cancer, well, go to overdrive. Go to much more attention to what might happen. Tell your doctor that somebody in your family, in your immediate female family, has ovarian cancer. I have had patients that are smart enough that when their mothers were diagnosed with ovarian cancer, they went to the doctor. They don't have any symptom. They just want to know where they are at that moment. And that's going to help a lot when hopefully not, if the real diagnosis ever comes back, it's going to be a lot easier to be made because you already have a baseline. So if somebody in your immediate family has ovarian cancer, go to your doctor, have a checkup, have tumor markers in your blood, have an ultrasound, have your doctor examining you, and make sure that everything is okay. The second very, very important part is the hormone influence. Hormones have a very mixed story because we have two circumstances that are supposedly helpful. It seems statistically that women that are on pills not to get pregnant have less chance of developing ovarian cancer. But also, those women that have more children. The more children you have, the less chances of developing ovarian cancer. But the two of them are a little bit opposing, because on one hand, contraception pills help, but on the other hand, they block one of the other factors that can help you, which is a lot of children. So if you take pills and you have less children, you even up the balance. You're not helping. And the same, if you're having a lot of children, you're not taking the pill, so you kind of block that. So that's one of the factors. But it's important to know that if you're on the pill, and I'm going to explain you why it is very important, that if you're taking contraception, oral contraception, that your chances of developing ovarian cancer will go down. And it is very important because, on the other hand, if you take hormones that we take after menopause, our chances of ovarian cancer will go up. Why? Because it's a different type of hormone, and it is a very different type of dosage. Contraception takes a very minuscule amount of hormones, and they're different than the ones we normally take for menopause. So be aware of that, because you want to have a balance. Make sure you talk to your doctor. And this is critical. Be free to express your fears with your doctor. Not only go there and talk about this, and this is your prescription, and your blood work is fantastic, and blah, blah, blah. No, make sure you express your fears. Doctor, I came to see you because I'm really afraid, or I want to be aware, or I want to be very alert about ovarian cancer. Or breast cancer, for that matter, because there is also a relationship between hormonal activity and this, and your doctor is going to help you. There's a very important part that I have to mention. You say, but no, I don't take the pill, or I don't do this, or I don't do the other, or I refuse to take hormones for menopause, etc., blah, blah, blah. There is a very important factor that we do not see, or we're not aware many times, which is the assault of hormone products in our food supply. That is very important, because when you go to a restaurant, you want to eat. You want to satisfy yourself. You want to have a little bit of comfort and happiness and so forth. You didn't go to a restaurant to eat hormones. You don't go to the market to buy hormones. You think hormones, you buy them at the pharmacy, not at the grocery store. But we use so many products that are either hormones or hormone-like effects that we're beginning to have a problem. How can we tell? Because I don't know if you know that girls in America are having the menarche, the onset of menstrual period, younger and younger. And this could be related to the hormonal part in the food supply. So it really pays to look for organic foods. I have seen it all the time. If it is going to be a little bit more expensive, go for it. Eat a little bit less, and you balance your budget. But you have to think that it's a lot better to buy better food than to buy drugs, laboratory, doctor's fees, etc. So make sure you help your body. I was reading some very lovely, I love the results. They're beginning to make statistics because this is a fairly new movement. By fairly new, I would say 20, 30 years only. When we started looking at the organic food, when we started looking at the vegetarianism, I don't go for vegetarianism myself. I could talk 5 podcasts about why I don't think that's exactly the way. However, we're looking at results, statistical results that show us that people that prefer organic food are healthier, have less problems. Why? Because they're wiping out hormones, antibiotics, and God knows what they're putting in our food. And nobody seems to challenge that. Nobody seems to fight it off. Nobody screams. So what we have to do in order to help ourselves is take your wallet, take your credit card to those vendors that will provide you the best quality of food. So don't just eat anything. Poultry is not just poultry. Beef is not just beef. Go for organic, free-range, grass-fed, because we're beginning to see that it really helps. Now, without being vegetarian, make sure you have at least 2/3 of your food supply from the vegetable world. 2/3. That means that the tomahawk steak, 16 ounce, with a baked potato, do not add up. Or with a little flower of broccoli. Do not add up that combination. So make sure you have a beautiful mixed salad, probably with some other legumes, or beans, or rice, or garbanzos, and so forth, and an 8 to 10 ounce steak, period. That's your limit. 10 begins to be a problem. Make sure you do it like 8 or 6. That's all the protein you need. We only need 1 gram of animal protein per day per kilo of weight. That means if you're 100 pounds, you just need 1 egg a day. Simple. The rest of it should be legumes that do contain protein, and your greens, and your roots. Not only potato, you can have sweet potato, you can have many options. If you go to a good market, if you go to a farmer's market, you're going to see many things. But you have to start looking at that, because otherwise you're bringing hormones to your table. And your table is not a doctor's office. It is your table with your family. Give them the best you can buy. And with that said, we start developing a real plan. And the last one is physical activity. Like in many other disease problems, physical activity is very important. The fact of being inactive, the fact of sitting down, the fact of doing very little from the physical standpoint can bring you a lot of health problems. So make sure you move, make sure you lift, make sure you run, make sure you climb, make sure you do a lot of things. Because with that, you're changing completely the hormonal picture of your whole body. Muscles can make a very important change in the hormonal profile of your body. So don't take it very simple. It's very important. And we have more to tell you. So stay there. You are with Dr. Rodrigo Rodriguez, Medical Director of BioCare Hospital. And I've been telling you about a very important subject. A very important subject because it's the 5th cause of cancer, female cancer deaths in America. Because it's the second most occurring cancers after breast cancer of females in America. So it's not simple. It's not the case every now and then. It is a very important disease. And in my lifetime as a doctor, I have seen a lot of very sad cases because simply they didn't pay attention. And let me tell you something that's even more important. I have seen cases where the one that didn't pay enough attention was the doctor. Sometimes you might be very busy, you might be, and that's not an excuse. But you just didn't think of it. You go with a very simple symptom and they tell you that we're going to give you this is probably colitis, let's see how this works in a week or so. And the worst is going to be if that thing they gave you is going to give you some sort of relief. Because you think, okay, this is history. But you didn't have an accurate diagnosis. You didn't have a full diagnosis. So, once again, not only you have to be aware, not only you have to be alert, but you have to alert your physician. Why are you going to his office? I'm coming here, doctor, because I have all these problems. I want to make sure I do not have ovarian cancer. So do whatever you have to do. I just want you to tell me, no, this is not ovarian cancer. This is a bladder infection. This is a colitis. This is whatever. But I want you to tell me that until you're absolutely sure. Because once you go a certain part of the road with ovarian cancer, it's going to be almost impossible to come back. Chances of survival diminish dramatically. So we have to make sure we insist. We have to make sure that we don't leave one stone unturned to be able to be absolutely sure. So you do an X-ray, you do an ultrasound, you draw blood and check markers. You do a colonoscopy or whatever you have to do. Just make sure you're absolutely sure this is not ovarian, rectal, or bladder cancer, because all of them are in your pelvic cavity, and they many times share the symptoms. Now, we're talking about certain things that might sound a little bit confusing also. I was telling you, for example, that early menarche and a late menopause might be a sign of a lot of hormones in your life. And they could come well from the things you eat or drink. So make sure you don't have any of those. But nevertheless, you have to double your effort to know what's happened. We have mentioned also genetics. We have said that the genetic part is important, that if you have any direct link to ovarian cancer with your mother, with your grandmother, with your sisters, sometimes even with your daughter, make sure you go to the doctor and you rule it out with yourself, even if you have no symptoms. We have also mentioned about how our food supply might be very contaminated with hormonals, chemicals, antibiotics, etc. So going organic is a good answer, etc. We have said that contraception, oral contraception, might reduce the chances of developing ovarian cancer. But at the same time, contraception diminishes the chances of being pregnant. And multiple pregnancies also diminish the chances of ovarian cancer. So you might be blocking one with the other. So I'm not saying that it's absolutely simple, etc. Your best defense is the awareness, the vigilance, and the proactiveness. In other words, what am I going to do to make sure? And I'm going to offer you a free first line of defense and information. You can email biocarehospital.com. You can find BioCare Hospital in Facebook, in Instagram, in Twitter, in the platform you normally use. If you're sending a message to a friend, you can send it to BioCare and say, doctors, I have this question. I'm on oral contraception, so I haven't had any pregnancy. What should I be aware of? And you're going to get a free answer from a registered physician. In other words, we want to help you. You can say, I started my menarche at 10 years old, and I have these sort of feelings or discomforts. You can ask any question. You can say, I have had this question, for example, if contamination of salmon might be the same on the farmed than on the free or wild-caught salmon. And you can answer. For many of those things, you're going to get a direct, honest answer. And you're not going to spend one penny. You're not going to spend a lot of time. While you're doing your social media, you can just drop the question and read the answer. We're there 24/7. We love to hear from you. We love to advise you. And hopefully, we can convince you that a better lifestyle can change your life. I have said it all the time. I don't want to meet you as a patient. And many people might be wondering, why does a doctor talks about prevention if you're losing business? No, I'm not. Because thank God, and I really thank God for it, we have more and more people that come to the hospital because they want to stay healthy, not because they are sick, because they want to do oxidative therapies, because they want to do stem cell therapy, because they want to lose weight, because they want to control a metabolic disorder, because they want to bring back control on their high blood pressure or heart disease and so on. So people that are looking to be healthier, not to treat a disease. They might have some health challenges, but they come here because they want an overall new. They want to renew themselves. They want to make sure they have a fresh start. And coming to BioCare Hospital many times kickstarts the whole thing. They learn how to do it. They learn what they should know. They look at things from a different point of view. And at the same time, they lose some weight. They control and fix their intestinal flora, which is so important for health maintenance and immune performance. You can read about the immune system and how the intestinal flora is important to the performance of the immune system. So we can do a lot of things. We're a full hospital. We can do intravenous supplementation. We can do targeted supplementation. Get you whichever nutrient you need in your body at that point in time. And the more you know, the better off you're going to be. Information absolutely means power. And the more information you have, the better off you're going to be. And when you go to BioCare, when you follow me with all these podcasts, when you go to the web page, when you go to all the resources that we have to offer, then you're going to learn more and more about what changes you can make in your life to be healthier and live longer. And none of this is going to cost you anything. We're going to be there for you. And we love to be there for you because we're developing a chain of friends that look forward long, healthy lives. Believe me, treating sick people in a hospital has never been my cup of tea. You help people, and I really rejoice every time somebody regains their health. I'll always have said that the best thing I can have in return from a patient is a big smile when they leave the hospital and say, "Doctor, thank you." But they have a big smile because their life has changed for better. Don't wait to be sick. Don't wait to be in need for help. Start reading about it. Start learning about it. Start going to the web. The web has so many resources to learn how to deal with yourself. And the particular case of pelvic cancers, awareness is 5 times as important. Because when you have a heart attack, you have a pain, a really bad pain that's so typical that people can look at you in the emergency room and just by looking at you say, "Get help to this person because he's getting a heart attack." It's that obvious. When you have any sort of pelvic cancer in the bladder, in the ovary, in the colon, you have all these little things that you completely disregard and give no importance. And that could cost you your life. So I don't want you to be there. So make sure you contact BioCare Hospital. Follow me. I would appreciate, but I also think it can help you change your life. So till next time, I'm Dr. Rodrigo Rodriguez with BioCare Hospital. Stay healthy.